A wonderful good evening to all. Welcome to our second broadcast of our webinar series Dwell in Drupal 8. Today, we are pleased to have Mr. Arun Kumar from Unity Solutions delivering session on Drupal 8 Composer workflow. Arun has been working in Drupal since 2014 and is one of our star developers at Unity Solutions. He is proficient with key modules in Drupal and contributed patches in Drupal 8 core and contribute modules in Drupal 6 as well as Drupal 7. We are also very proud to say that Arun is maintainer of Boost Cache Clear, Apache Solar Service, and Send Mails module. He is also co-maintainer of Quiz Progress, Apache Solar Infinite Scroll, and Boost Cache Cleaner. He is passionate Drupal developer and spends a great deal of time in learning new Drupal versions and features. It's wonderful to have you here, Arun, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, before we start, I would like to have some special instructions to all the participants who are going to join us and who has already joined us. All the participants except for me and Arun will be on mute so that we can enjoy the session without any interruption. Participants can post their learnings in Twitter using hashtag #DwellInDrupal8. At the end of the session, we will unmute the participants, but please put your questions in chat so that Arun can answer them one by one without any chaos. If you have any further instructions or further any clarifications, you can ask with Arun. You can clarify with Arun. And please know that the Q&A session will be only for 10 minutes. Have a wonderful session. Over to you, Arun.
Thank you, ma'am. So first of all, thank you to all to join this session to discuss about what is Composer and how it works in Drupal 8. This session will cover about we know the Drupal 8 is fully object oriented. So we have some of the problems to maintain our libraries and packages in Drupal 8 in OOPS concept. So to resolve this problem in PHP, we're going to use the Composer. So this session will cover about what is Composer, how it will be used in Drupal 8. So the session will deeply discussing about what is dependency injection programming language and what Composer will do to resolve the dependency injection, and then what will happen with we developing the project in Drupal 8 with the Composer, and what are the problems we have facing, possible problems we are facing in the development, and how to resolve this problem using Composer by installing the Composer into our development environment, and how the Composer will maintain these problems in Drupal 8. So going to deeply discussing about each topics. So first of all, the dependency injection. What is meant by dependency injection? The dependency injection is injecting the dependency from one class to another class. For example, if a class A depends on B, so B is injecting the dependency to A. So first of all, we need to load B, then we need to load A. Then only it's working fine. So we check with our real-time example. We need to create a car. First of all, we need engine. Without engine, the car won't work. So we need to build engine. But to build an engine, we need tools because the engine is built up with small tools. So going to tools for building a car which depends on engine, and engine is dependent on tools. So car is dependent on engine and tools. So both engine and tools are injecting the dependency to the car class. So we compare with our programming language also. Here I am taking the example of FAQ ask module. Which modules we know the Drupal 8 is built with fully object-oriented concept. So we need to build a form. We need to use some of the OOPS classes to extend it and need to create the form. Otherwise, in Drupal we cannot create a single form. So the class elements are provided from the config form base, the core class. To create my form, expert form, I need to implement the config form base from the core. But to go into config form base, it depends on form base class. So the expert form is dependent on both config form base and the form based classes. So same way, the config form base and form based classes are injecting the dependency to experts form. What will happen if both classes are not loaded? Otherwise, we just a thing. These core classes are not existing in our Drupal core. Otherwise, we using the libraries from external libraries. So the expert form will depending on external libraries. External libraries. So must be needed to load the external libraries before loading the experts form class. So the problem was the external services and library packages are dependent in our code. So the dependency injection problem occurs in this area. How to handle these dependency injection problems? To resolve the dependency injection problems, we need to manage the injections by using the containers. These containers are known as dependency injection containers. How the dependency injection containers are loading? Before loading our base class, we need to load the external dependent classes first. So, we normally creating a class normally we access in the class using the object. So first of all, creation of object stage also, we need to load our libraries and wanted libraries before. So I'm going to write, so resolve this problem, we need to implement the external library classes, or otherwise we need to create the object for external classes. So these two processes we can able to manage the dependency injection problems. So the containers, how the containers work to resolve the dependency injection in real time. To build a car, we need to build the engine first. So I'm going to build the engine. To build the engine, I need to build the tools. So before starting to build the car, the engine construction process is taken place. Before engine construction process, need to build the tools for the engines. So the problem gets resolved at the stage of car creation. So we're going to compare with our programming. To create a expert form, I need to create the object for config form base. This config form base class at the time of creation, it will load its parent classes as a form base class. So a single object of config form base is held to load the form base classes and config form base classes. So the dependency injection problem is handled in here. What will happen without using the composer in our development phase? It will if the process of developing the code without using composer, the code will get some of the issues during the runtime. So we need to handle this properly. Normally what we're doing is directly go to the Drupal org and download the packages and find out what are the libraries which depends for that particular package, and we will include it in our code. That is the first process we normally doing. They manually install the dependency files to our system. It's not a good way because we don't know what are all the files which is actually required to our application to run the particular process. So we normally doing the manual way. So we going to another way, which is known as Drush commands. What is Drush? Drush is a command line interface to handle the Drupal. It's normally running the Unix or shell commands in the command line to achieve our Drupal application functionalities. Normally, Drush commands are used to doing module install, update, and clearing the cache, run the cron, and install the modules required to our application, and able to install the libraries using running the command. But in using Drush, we must be know what are all the libraries and what are the packages which require for a particular file to load. Otherwise, we lost the files to include. It's similar to manually installing the dependency files also. And third one is Drushmic. It's an extension of Drush. It's similar to Drush. It's a single file which we will define what are all the things we needed to include as a command, as a drush commands in the drush make. The drush make command is run only once to execute, but same problem will arise. What are the commands we will lost in the drush commands? It will won't affect in our code. So the dependency injection problem should be is able to arrive them in our coding. So to resolve this problem, we are going to use Composer. The Composer is a tool which is used in the PHP to maintain the dependency injection, mainly to maintain dependency injection. The Composer is created from the inspiration from Node.js, NPM, and Ruby's builder. The Node.js, NPM, and Ruby's builders are package managers which is used in the Node.js application Ruby, which is centralized libraries and packages are maintained in the external source. While we need to load in our project, we will directly get from the centralized files that is kept there. So that are added into our system. It's similarly the Composer also doing the same thing. It will, while running the command of Composer to install our required packages, it will get from the centralized repositories files. So the Composer, while compared to Composer with other package managers, Composer are much more good to serve the required packages, because the Composer also able to maintain per project per libraries handle. But when compared to NPM and bundlers, it will handle overall generic to all projects. But Composer is maintaining per project per libraries handle, because some of the libraries which is needed in the particular lower version, some of the libraries needed to some higher version for our applications. So everything is handled from Composer, but it cannot do in the NPMs and bundlers. While using the Composer, it will directly install our library files under a vendors folder. It is by default folder which is kept in the our system to save the libraries. This is the formal definition of Composer. The Composer is a tool which is used to manage the dependency in PHP, and also it allows to declare our own libraries and able to install manual update them for our use purpose. So if we want to do the Composer coding, first of all we need to install. The Composer is open source and it will be available on online, so free of cost, so we can use it in our application without any license. So Composer for Linux and Mac machines, there is a command to install php composer -setup.php -install -directory equal to bin, the file name equal to Composer. While installing the Composer, it will be only accessible in the particular local directory. To make the Composer directory is public and it's able to access from globally, we need to move the composer.par file into our local bin folder of Composer. For the Windows, it's very straightforward way. It will directly download from executable file from online, and we will run the application in our system, and it will be installed in our Windows machine. For the only thing, to run the Composer in our application, it's need PHP 5.3.2 version or more than 5.3.2 version. Otherwise, the Composer won't support in the PHP application. For Drupal 8, Drupal 8 is dependent on, it's working on PHP 5.3. So for the Drupal 8 applications, it's not a problem to have the latest version of PHP. So what will Composer do? The Composer will kept a file. In that file, it will have some description about what are the libraries which needed to run the application for us. These libraries must be needed to run our application primarily. So each file which has some name and what is the type of library which are needed to download from, and where is the source of file, and any license information, and home page, description about that library, and other about the library, and what is the minimum requirement needed to run this library. These informations are provided in this composer file. These composer files are in the format of JSON. It's a key value format. And then while running the composer file, it will check all the required files and minimum versions and version defining. Depending on the data which provided in the file, the actual library files are downloaded and saved in our vendor folders. So the composer in Drupal 8. For Drupal 8, the Drupal 8 is kept in our local development environment. So it won't directly communicate with the vendor folders. So Composer is between the bridge between the vendor folders and Drupal 8. While we need to require any files from external vendor, we directly get it from the Composer. The Composer will check the file where it's from. We have already defined in our Composer file. It will get from the file. Normally the package list. The package list is the PHP libraries management system. It will keep most of the files, most of the library files in that. It's not only for Drupal, it's able to use for any other PHP applications. And GitHub, we normally using Git. The most of the developers are committing their codes and library files in GitHub. Composer is directly communicate with GitHub to get the files to download in our vendor folder. And Composer also able to take the Drupal project files from Drupal org. That's kept in the Drupal package list. It's similar to keeping the files in the GitHub. So how the Composer is handling the Drupal dependencies. So each Composer which have a minimum 2 files. Among that, composer.json file is required file, and composer.log is optional file. The composer.json. In composer.json file, it will define what are all the required libraries and where it get from to download in our system. While downloading the Drupal core from drupal.org, it will directly have the composer.json file and composer.log. While going to see the difference between composer.json and log, the composer.log file which have the information of what are all the required files which is essential to run the application of vendors. It will be directly specify them what are all the directed files, the exact versions, and that able to run the application. To run the Composer, we need to use the Composer commands. The normally Composer update and install. The Composer update command is used to update the vendor files to the system. For example, I am using a module called ABC. The module is upgraded to some of security reasons into another major version. The ABC module depends on some other libraries. So upgradation of module, it's also need to upgrade the library because some of the functions are maybe added or deprecated. So we need the extended library file. So this information are put on the composer.update that is specified in our composer.json. So each time composer update runs, it going to the composer.json file and run what are the specified required libraries are defined in that, and it will be downloaded into our vendor folder and kept. For Composer install, it will be directly looking the composer.log file because the log file defines what is the exact library version which is helped to run the application without any problem. Because update may be occurs problem, but the install should be works as designed to. So it will look the composer.log file. If composer.log file is exist, it will be check all the vendor files are exist, or if not exist, it will be take the vendor files from internet and it will be kept in our local system. If the composer.log file is not exist, it will directly go to composer.json file. The composer.json file will check whether the all the required files are exist in our vendor folder or not. If exist, it will check it's needed an update or not. If update is required, it will be downloaded from update. Otherwise, it will be download the newer one from the remote directory file systems. So first of all, it will be directly checking the exact match to the library versions. If the versions are same, then it will be downloaded and kept in our system. Also, if composer.log file is not exist, it will be create a new composer.log file and with updated details of inserted vendor libraries. Otherwise, it will be update. Otherwise, it will again update the composer.log file with the updated versions of library files. So, composer is help to run the applications to resolve the dependency injection. So we need to define what are all the library versions and what version is required to run our applications. So it will be defined in essay format of JSON. Each version is defined by key and value, each library files, and we need to define where is the libraries exist by the in the composer.json file. So exact matches are directly put it as PHP version equal to 5.59. If it require minimum range of 5.59, we need to specify greater than or equal to. Otherwise, it will be less than the 5.59. We need to reverse of this one less than or equal to. For the tilde symbol is used to specify the version which is supported up to 2.8 to 2.0 to 3.0. It will supports all the minor releases of 2.x. And for the star, it will be support all the subdivisions of that minor versions. Thank you for all. Is any clarification regarding from my session?
Thank you, Arun. Thanks a lot. And participants, I'm going to put you all on unmute you all. Before that, I would like to share an tidbit from our side. Drupal.me, an online Drupal training portal, is offering a new free series, hands-on exercises, where you can build a Drupal project from wireframes. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you all. Don't miss it. And I'm going to unmute you all. Please ask your questions one by one so that Arun can answer them. Hello. Hello. Mr. Gabriel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Gabriel.
Yes, Gabriel.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I have a question. Please explain me how to use Composer on the production website.
Composer to using your
In a production
Gabriel, there is one problem. We no need to use the composer in our production because the good way to using composer is we only use it in our development environments because someday we doing the updation, it will be maybe raise some problems. The one of the problem we facing in our development while updating the Drupal code from minor version to another upgraded version, we facing some problem on address field. This address field is rendered by commerce guys. So some of the codes are under development and under construction. There are development versions only. So first of all, we tested the vendor files and libraries in our development environment. If everything is okay, then we then we need to move the vendor files into production. No need to run the composer at the production, because it raises some problems in the live environment. So best way is using in the production, in the development, then move to production.
You can develop a website on the local machine, and
Yes.
then put using FTP the files
Yes.
on the production. Start there with the
Yes.
website, right?
Just moving the library files and required files, which is dependent on files, which is dependent on library to the production, is enough to run, enough to maintain the upgrade. No need to run the composer update or install in the production. It's just a
I see.
just yeah,
And
definitely.
and if I use um, a distribution that use Composer, I make the updates only on my local machine, and then take the file with FTP and
The
put on
updated file.
production. Yes,
Yes, the updated file
this
is.
is the process.
Yes, this is the right way to use. That is the right way to use the doing the composer update
Sorry,
and file updates, everything.
you said this is the right.
Mr.
Yes?
Gabriel, he's saying whatever you understood is right.
Right,
That is the
that's
right
right.
way to do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Mr. Gabriel?
No. Thank you for all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, audience, and thank you, viewers, for this wonderful session, and thank you, Arun, for this wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll be back with our next session as soon as possible, and until then, have a great day and good night. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Okay.